Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
It's The In Show, Australia's only show dedicated to innovation from Adelaide, Australia and across the globe.
Hi, this is David Grice and Troy Sincock. It's podcast time. We're talking to innovators that are absolutely inspirational from all over the globe.
We certainly are, and I'm just loving how we're finding out not only how they're developing and creating their products, but the highs and the lows, the dips and troughs that they go through and still come out the other side with a smile on their face and being able to innovate.
Yeah, the things they learn and then their willingness to share the pitfalls as well. I think, people have been incredibly generous in the innovation space.
They certainly are. And what we've actually uncovered, I think, is the fact that people do love to tell their stories, and the ability that we have to hear from these people and learn so much just through their experiences.
Absolutely incredible. Now, if you're enjoying what you're hearing on the In Show podcast, subscribe to our new feed in Apple Podcasts to keep listening to the In Show. Just resubscribe to the In Show with the coloured logo. If you subscribe to the black and white one, well, that's great, but it's going to disappear at some point. So resubscribe to the coloured one.
Yeah, because we've moved platforms. We're actually gone to the Ozcast network now, and we're just wanting to support some local innovators that are doing some stuff around, bringing the stories of Australia down to the rest of the world.
Now, from local to global, here's Claire with more in news, including a story about why humans have no choice but to colonise Mars. What else have you got for us, Claire?
Cheers, guys. In a world first, researchers in the US have found a way to restore sensation in people with upper body prosthetic limbs. This breakthrough is important because at the moment, people with amputated limbs can't actually sense their prosthetic's presence. Prosthetic limbs don't receive kinesthetic feedback, which means they can't act on instinct. They have to physically look at the artificial limb to know that they are moving it. But this is all about to change because the scientists from Cleveland Clinic have created a neural interface that can make a prosthetic limb feel like another part of the body. The two-way network does this by vibrating the nerves found near the amputation site, which have been attached to the surviving muscle. During testing, patients have been able to perform actions without looking at their artificial limb because it just feels like a natural part of their body. The researchers are looking forward to improving the interface. Elon Musk believes humans absolutely have to colonise Mars if we want to survive a third world war or the uprising of AI technology. The founder of Tesla and SpaceX has suggested a self-sustaining base on the red planet would be safer and far enough away from Earth than a base station on the moon. At the moment, SpaceX is developing a vehicle that can transport humans to Mars. But even Elon Musk has admitted that creating and sustaining a colony on Mars isn't going to be easy. It would be dangerous but exciting all at once. It would also require a lot of costly resources. Of course, the first people who are sent to Mars would have a tough time as they'll have the huge task of creating a hospitable environment for those who arrive after them. It seems like an exciting concept, but I wonder how many people would be willing to risk their lives for something that's not guaranteed to work out. Although, considering the rising nuclear tension between the US and North Korea and the rate at which AI technology is developing, this could be a fantastic last resort escape plan. And that's what's in news this week.
Well, David, how do you feel about colonising Mars? It's really going to take something, huh?
I mean, look, with the building background, Troy, I've got to say that my head straight away goes to the infrastructure. And how the heck are they going to build things that people can live in there? How are they going to create this ecosystem that grows plants and does all these other things? But I was thinking about, when you build a house, you've got to build a foundation. So it's concrete, goes in the ground, and then everything else gets attached to that. But in zero gravity, I wonder how that's going to work.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to really take something. I mean, things in the past have seemed impossible that we now see a reality. So I've got no doubt that they'll actually get those things done. It's going to take some time because it's, pretty much uncharted water. And if anyone's going to get it done, it'll be Elon Musk.
I mean, the thing is that to actually think that we can colonise somewhere like Mars is just profound in the first place. But the fact that now they're developing vehicles for us to be able to get there in the first place means then that all of this is possible. I mean, what's going to be next?
And what would you start with? Would you start with water? Would you start with the crops, as you suggested? And what would you build first if you were building something?
Well, I mean, it brings that whole thing, we're talking about autonomous flying vehicles in the world we live in. Now, imagine up there, they wouldn't even need roads because it's space.
That's right. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens on that front. It's David Grice and Troy Sincock on the In Show podcast. And David, you spent a week at South by Southwest in Austin, Texas, and it sounded like it was a hell of a ride.
Oh, look, I don't know if anybody's out there that's listening that has actually ever been to Austin during South by Southwest. During the spring break, it is like the whole world converges on this one little place in the middle of Texas, and there is such energy around the place. It's music going, there's technology, there's film and television, there's Hollywood superstars everywhere, world-renowned musicians in the place, and just incredible what you see.
And in amongst that, you caught up with a guy from Media Tech Ventures.
Yeah, now this is an organisation that's really there to help the media industry in Austin, and what they're trying to do is figure out ways that the media industry can work with technology, can get investment, can work with studios and all sorts of different things to just build it as an industry and just get it more and more thriving.
We'll find out about that story on the next In Show podcast.
The In Show News. Subscribe to the In Show podcast on iTunes. A Dave and the Beanstalk production.
Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to AuscastNetwork.com for details.